Hey, let's get this chatting for 20 minutes done. Well, good morning and thanks so much for joining us. It's Meteorologist Ansley Parker here, and I am in for Alex Pry once again today. He will be back tomorrow, but while I'm in for him, we are going to take another look at the extended forecast here at 11 a.m. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a back and forth forecast. We've got a little bit going on with the temperatures, and we also have something going on with the rain chances as well. Now, it was a really cold start to the week. Luckily, you've made it past the coldest points of the week, and now we are only on the up and up from here. We have a couple of rain chances that will be really in the overnight hours coming up in the next couple of days, but we're going to break it all down for you here right now in this extended look at the forecast. Now we're kicking it off like we always do, but I do have to mention one thing first and foremost, the Perry Skycam. We've been having some issues with it. We had some rainfall on Friday, you may or may not remember, and somehow that rainfall really impacted this camera and it's been knocked out since then. Our engineering team and the support team with the cameras have been working nonstop trying to get this thing back up and running. But what you're looking at right now is not a current view of Perry. That is several days old, and we are working on getting our Perry Skycam back together. But I can only look at 4 cameras. I can't choose 3, so I wanted to be able to show the rest of them without, impacting and not without you thinking that Perry was live. So here's a look at the other Skycams. We've got blue skies out there right now across the entire area. The most that we see on any Skycam is a little bit of cloud cover here in downtown Macon, so it's a good looking day. Yesterday was a lot like this as well. If you were out at any point on Monday, you know we had clear skies throughout the entire day, but one thing we had that I could do without was some really strong winds, and I've got good news on that front here in just a moment. So this is what temperatures look like across portions of the United States. You can see here in our area, we are pretty much being dominated by this low pressure system here, and it is bringing in some much cooler air to kind of the eastern half of the United States. You can see we have some warmer numbers over here in Texas, places like Oklahoma. Those areas are a lot warmer. We are seeming to be stuck under this dome of much cooler air. So that will be the case as we go throughout the rest of the day today. However, a pattern changes on the way as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon. So we won't really be dominated by this cooler dome for too much longer. In fact, as we head into the rest of today, we're going to start to see that transition start to take place. So what's happening right now is our winds are coming in from the northwest. So we're getting a lot of flow coming in from the northwest. That's making things cooler. You can see statewide, that's kind of the case across the entire state. Eventually through today, those winds are going to transition into coming from the southwest, and that is going to filter in some more moisture here into our area and some warmer air as well. So right now here at 11 a.m., we are just barely finding our way into the upper 30s. It's definitely still cold out there this morning, but as we go into the afternoon, we're kind of going to break that ceiling and we will start climbing a lot higher than this. And I'll say, upper 30s is an improvement from what we saw this morning. Earlier today, we bottomed out in the low 20s for just about everybody across the area. So that was a really, really cold start to the day. It only gets better from here, and we will not be back in the 20s for the rest of the week. And when we look at this time yesterday, we're already trending in the right direction. Most areas now are starting to be at least around the temperature that we were at just 24 hours ago, and we're starting to jump above where we were at just 24 hours ago. The orange pattern, that will be the pattern for the rest of the day. We're going to see this map go from blue over to orange as we head into the heat of the day because we're going to be warmer this afternoon than yesterday afternoon. The big real reason is going to be those winds. Again, we're going to start to see this direction shift. The wind is going to come in from the southwest. That's again going to filter in more moisture and some warmer air as well. But more than that, the winds are just down. So for the last couple of days, we have had some really strong, really gusty winds. We had wind gusts yesterday up to 25 miles an hour, and then on Sunday we had wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. It was really breezy, just unignorable. If you were out at all, you noticed the breeze, not only because it was so strong, but also it just made those temperatures so much more bitter. We don't have that anymore today. The winds are nice and calm this morning, and this is not going to change as we go throughout the rest of the day. So the winds, not as much of a factor, which means the feels like numbers really are pretty much the exact same as actual air temperature. We're feeling like we're in the upper 30s and low 40s, and that's right about where we actually are sitting in terms of temperature. So that's kind of one silver lining, but the other is the fact that the temperatures themselves will also be warmer today. So yesterday's high temperature, 47 degrees. That's well below average for this time of year. We're actually supposed to be averaging a high of 65 degrees. So we were really abnormally cool yesterday. And as we go into the day today, we're still going to be below average, but the high temperature is going to be warmer than yesterday. I'd say 55 is better than 47. We're going to creep our way into the mid 50s. That is just going to feel more comfortable. Again, not only because the actual numbers are going to be better, but because there's going to be less wind out there as well. So the temperatures will feel like the mid 50s later today, which is more than we could say about yesterday in terms of actual air temperature and in terms of the wind chill. Now, there's probably one thing that we would want to carry over from yesterday. That's going to be the sunshine, and luckily that is what we do. We take the sunshine with us through the rest of this afternoon. No chance of rain as you go throughout the entire day today. So you're looking right now at the current satellite and radar across the southeast, and it is quiet. Obviously, there's some cloud cover out there, but other than that, I mean, there's no big rainmaker heading our way, at least for right now. I will say again, rain chances are back here on the 7-day, but for today, it is going to be smooth sailing. Occasionally, we may have a passing cloud or two, but other than that, it is basically going to be a lot like yesterday in terms of the sunshine. Now, like I said, that does change as we go into the rest of the week. Actually, starting tomorrow, rain chances are back in the forecast. Tomorrow is really not going to be an impactful day. We have a 10% chance of rain just to cover the bases for areas that get a light shower, but most places tomorrow should stay fairly dry. As we head into Thursday, that rain chance starts to become a little more substantial, but still, it's a hit or miss scattered rain chance, not necessarily an all-day washout. Friday is really going to be the one, the strongest rain chance that we have on the 7-day forecast. The reason being, it is a front moving into the area, so it's going to bring widespread showers into our entire region, but caveat with this one is this is kind of an early morning Friday rain chance. So it's really an overnight event. So most of the rainfall will likely occur while you're sleeping or while you're getting up and getting ready for work. Hopefully, as we head into Friday afternoon and evening, most of this rain will begin to clear out and we will stay much drier for Friday nights and for the beginning of the weekend. We do have a rain chance for Saturday as well, but similar to Wednesday, it's kind of a cover the bases rain chance for any lingering light showers. Most places should stay dry as we kick off the weekend. So here's a look at the future view, kind of big picture. I want to show you what this looks like coming in from the northwest. This big system, it's actually a part of a cold front that's going to be moving into our area. And I will say this is kind of the details on this are unfolding as I've gone throughout the morning this morning, because the graph model keeps on getting a little closer to that Friday morning time frame. But as we've gotten more and more runs from the graph model, this has actually continued to just move slower and slower and slower towards our area, which is a little bit unfortunate. Originally, it looked like it was going to be a little bit closer to midnight that this would be in our area. Now, it just keeps trending towards later and later arrival time, which means this could have a little bit more impacts on your morning time as we go throughout the morning on Friday. My hope here is even if it stalls a little bit up here in North Georgia, I hope that we can still get it through here quickly enough to where it's not too much of an impact to the rest of the day on Friday. It certainly looks like it's going to have some morning implications, likely some morning commute implications, but it depends on how fast the thing moves through here to where we can be said and done with it. So this is what it looks like big picture. Just wanted to kind of show you what it looked like across the southeast, but let's take some closer look at the details here in the state of Georgia. So right now, again, through the rest of the day today, no real rain chances, and there's really not going to be too many rain chances on Wednesday either, but ahead of that front, and as we switch the direction of our winds, notice here, winds are now coming in from the southwest. We're just going to have more available moisture here in our area. So it's going to increase the cloud cover a bit, and it's going to warm the temperatures up as well. But it does mean we're not going to get those crystal clear blue skies like what we have outside right now and like what we had outside yesterday. So when you wake up on Wednesday morning, you probably will wake up with a few more clouds in the area. Not necessarily a blanket of cloud cover. In some spots that might be the case, but it's kind of going to be an in and out sunshine situation throughout the day on Wednesday. Like I mentioned, there is a 10% chance of rain for Wednesday. It's because of what you can see embedded in some of this cloud cover here. There could be one or two really light, short-lived sprinkles within some of the thicker cloud cover. Overall, though, a lot of times when we see these systems move in like that, none of this ever really comes to fruition here in our area. So it is possible, but even if you do happen to catch yourself in something, it's going to be something so negligible that it's really not going to be an issue for you at all. It's one of those things where you're standing outside, you get a couple raindrops on your t-shirt, and then you move on with the rest of your day. So that will be the rain chance for Wednesday. Absolutely nothing to go canceling plans for. It's probably just going to be more a story of extra cloud cover as opposed to anything else. Then we get into Thursday. That's when that front starts getting a little closer to our area. The moisture increases a bit, so that rain chance is going to be up just a touch. So this is Thursday morning. Obviously, we still have that cloud cover that we had as we kicked off Wednesday morning, but now we're going to increase the rain chance just a touch. I still don't really think it's going to be an all-day washout. I just think your chance at catching a scattered shower look a little bit better as we enter the day on Thursday. So notice, as we play the future view forward, there's just a couple of these scattered showers across the state. Heading into the afternoon, they increase a little bit, but notice also there's a lot of areas that don't have rainfall even when rain is falling in a couple of other spots. So it's these hit or miss scattered showers that will be there throughout the entire day on Thursday. A couple of these could be light rumbles of thunder, but the good news is right now, I know we're getting into that time of year, we really want to monitor severe weather chances with systems that move in. The severe weather chances with this overall are looking extremely low end, and so far we're not in any sort of risk. We really just don't have what we need to have severe weather with this specific front. So there could be a couple of thunderstorms on Thursday afternoon, but I really think that our severe weather chances are largely going to be really small. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. So that's what the day on Thursday looks like. You probably, if you have to be out and about on Thursday, want to have an umbrella or a rain jacket in case you get caught in one of these showers or storms. But is it an all-day washout? No, I actually think it's going to be an okay day. It's that second rain chance that comes in with the front that's really going to be the one that impacts plans. So as we play this forward into, again, this time frame where I was hoping that if we backed it up a little bit, we would get to see this coming into our area closer to around 1 to 2 a.m. But right now, as of this latest graph run, it's still not really truly in our area until 4 in the morning. So I know, trust me, as somebody else with a very early morning commute time, this may be time where folks are already getting up, getting their days started. There could definitely already be a couple of light showers out there, but the bulk of it is not there just yet. So if you wake up super early and you don't notice any rainfall out there just yet, just know it's on the way, and it's definitely something you're going to want to build into your morning plans. Okay, well, I guess 4 a.m. is as far as it goes out, but we're going to switch over to the long range models to talk about what the rest of the morning will look like. So if you have a morning commute, then I would go ahead and say plan on showers. The way that the timing is trending right now, we will be happy if that front looks like it's going to pick up its speed a little bit more and it moves in the earlier morning hours. But right now, these models kind of try to have this hanging around all the way into about 8 a.m. in the Friday morning time frame. So that's when we could still be dealing with a lot of widespread showers. It's probably just going to make for a little bit more of a trafficy morning commute. I don't really think this is anything to be worried about. At the end of the day, it's mostly just going to be some rainfall, but it's probably just going to be a bit of a nuisance to Friday morning, if anything. So then we play this out to about Friday afternoon. The bulk of the front has moved out of our area, but there could potentially still be a little bit of remaining moisture behind that frontal boundary, and we could have a couple of really light scattered showers throughout the day on Friday. As we head into Friday night, here is where there's a little bit of disagreement to the European and the GFS models here about what's going to happen after that. The GFS model tries to have this really stalling down here in South Georgia. That could mean that late Friday night we could still have that chance for a couple of light showers. The European model, though, wants to kind of pick this up and take the bulk of the moisture with it before that time frame. So right now, I would say that Friday night is not looking like a washout, but there is a potential that there could be a shower or two out there for Friday night. I hope that's not the case. I don't want to see any rain as we head into the weekend, but that is a possibility as of right now. Again, it really depends on the timing of this as we go through the next couple of days. My hope here is that this front will pick up its pace, but what fronts love to do here in the state of Georgia is stall out up in North Georgia or stall out here in our area. So it's not really an unlikely characteristic for a system like this to do this over our area, which is why I tend to kind of agree with what the models are thinking as of right now. We'll hope and see if it kind of picks up pace a little bit, but at least right now I'd plan for there to be the possibility for a light shower or two on Friday night, but as we head into Saturday, that rain chance should largely move on. So what's going to be happening is this low pressure off the coast is going to drive the bulk of that moisture away from us. Like I said, 1 or 2 light showers could still be possible behind that, but I really don't think that the rain chance is going to be too great for Saturday. I've gone with a 10% once again, and you saw that 10% that I had on there for Wednesday. There was 1 or 2 green blips on the future view, but other than that, most of the area was staying entirely dry. So that's what I think Saturday is going to look like as well. If you've got outdoor plans for Saturday, I know one of my best friends is getting married, so I'm paying attention to the forecast really, really closely. I'm telling her I think it's going to be okay. At worst, we'll have momentary 1 really brief shower or 2, and then all of this should move on as we go throughout the day on Saturday. If you've got interest in Sunday, Sunday looks like a great day. There may be a passing cloud or 2, but there's going to be no rain chance on there for Sunday. Ignore some of the paint splatter that you see here. It's just the long range models aren't quite as high resolution, so sometimes they try to throw stuff into our area that's not necessarily going to come to fruition. So that is kind of what the week ahead looks like in terms of rain chances. But what about rainfall amounts? Because that's going to be really important to us here as we have this drought monitor that has been showing our area in so many drought conditions here for so long. So I mentioned this yesterday. We still don't have the new drought monitor. So this does not take into account the rainfall totals that we saw over the last weekend. So this could have some changes to it as we go throughout the rest of this week. But as it stands, at least before last weekend's rainfall event, we had many areas here in central Georgia in extreme drought and the majority of the area in a severe drought. Portions of the area are lucky enough to be in a moderate drought, but nobody is exempt from any sort of drought conditions. We need rainfall here in our area. We've been in a deficit for months. So how much we could see over the weekend could really make a little bit of an impact for us. It looks right now like we could see around an inch in some of the heaviest spots. Sometimes these models kind of downplay how much rainfall we'll actually see. I tend to pay attention most to the coloring on these maps. When we get more of our area here in this blue color, I'm encouraged by that because that usually means in some of the heavier spots we get over an inch, and then sometimes in these lighter green spots we hover in that ½ an inch to an inch spot. Obviously, that's not a ton of rainfall, but we'll take what we can get, and it ultimately will help with our rainfall totals for the month, and that's what really matters at the moment. So this is what we had over the weekend, and this actually ended up being a really good rainmaker because we actually had several rounds of rain. We had that kind of initial front come through here, but then we had this secondary cell of random showers and thunderstorms that came through kind of south of I-16, which is why you see these totals a little bit heavier over in places like Houston, Blakely, and Macon County. They had a little bit more rainfall with a secondary round of rain on Saturday evening. Goodness, sometimes I just can't even remember what day it is. Okay, so this is how much we actually saw when we kind of take a look at what the totals really were. In the heavier spots, we're talking about over 2.5 inches of rainfall. So this was a substantial rainmaker no matter where you were. In the lighter spots, we got up to around an inch, which is still good. That can definitely still help us with the drought conditions here in the region. Down in the south, remember I said the totals were a little bit higher because of that second round of rainfall that they had throughout the day. In Warner Robins, potentially we got up to 4.5 inches of rainfall. So this was a good rainmaker. Again, this is not accounted for in the drought monitor that I just showed you. We'll kind of see what this does for drought conditions here in our area, but right now I just don't have an answer for what that means. We'll probably have one by the end of the week. Alex will probably have more on that as we go look at the extended forecast tomorrow, the next day, and on Friday. In terms of what that means for our totals here in the month of February, we are still unfortunately running below average, but we're not doing terrible. We've seen just over 2.5 inches of rainfall so far this month in the month of February on average. We're supposed to see around 4.5 inches of rainfall. So we're about 2 inches shy, but we do have another rain chance on the way, and we still haven't closed out the month of February just yet. We don't do that until Sunday, so this rain chance will come before the month actually comes to a close. So I think if we get around an inch, we're just going to be about an inch shy of average for this time of year, and that's not terrible. Obviously, we'd want to be a little bit closer, but compared to some of the last couple of months we've had, being just an inch shy is not quite as bad as we've been. So yes, we've gotten some rainfall, just not quite as much as we need here in the month of February. And unfortunately, the rainfall this week does come at a little bit of unfortunate timing. The daybreak sleep out is on Thursday night. So if you are participating in that event, just be aware that it is probably going to be raining. Like I said, this really doesn't come in until after midnight. So if you are there around 6 a.m. wake up time, that's probably when the heavier rain will be moving into the area. Before that, we're talking more about isolated scattered showers. No matter what the rain chances are or the timing is on that, it's going to rain. So if you are participating in the daybreak sleep out, just kind of be aware. You may want to prepare a little bit early for that to just be wet in the overnight hours Thursday heading into Friday. Luckily, the temperatures won't be so bad. Temperatures are going to be somewhere in the 70s, and then we'll drop down into the 50s by the morning. So it'll be a warm night. It just will be a night that we possibly have, or that we will have to deal with some showers. It's not a possibility at this point. So with that being said, we'll move on to temperatures. I want to show you that the flow coming in from the southwest does make a big difference in terms of how things feel. That's that front there by Friday morning. But before that, we're going to get this surge of warmer air that has more moisture to it. So we're going to go back to that kind of fall spring thing as we go throughout the next couple of days. The pattern kind of starts shifting today. Like I said, we'll see the winds begin to change as we go throughout this afternoon. Highs today will be in the mid 50s. Then by tomorrow, you don't have to say hello to the 20s. We're going to be in the upper 30s tomorrow morning. That will feel better. And overall, that's just going to be a little bit warmer than the last few days. By Wednesday afternoon, we are in the mid to upper 60s. So back to near or above average for this time of year. And then we'll just keep doing that through the rest of the week. Overnight lows in the 50s. Mornings will not be so bad for the next few days, and then we are back in the 70s by the time we get into Thursday. So temperatures are definitely back on the up and up. We are going back towards average for this time of year, and as we look ahead, we are actually not far from the beginning of spring, so we won't really be able to say this is the fall spring thing anymore. Eventually, we're going to get there in just about 24 days. That is when we can officially welcome in the spring equinox. I'm trying to kind of do the differences because technically March does start on Sunday, and that is the start of meteorological spring, but the spring equinox is in 24 days closer to the end of March. We also have the time change coming up in 12 days. That's on March 8th. Just go ahead and be aware that's the time that we spring forward, so you are going to lose an hour of sleep into Sunday. So just remember that is coming up. But as we go throughout the rest of this week, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Like I said, we stair-step our way back to the 70s, and then this is the main rain chance that we're going to have here on the 7-day. We've got these scattered showers on Thursday, that early morning rain chance that hopefully will move out by Friday. Just in case it doesn't, we have this 10% chance of rain here for Saturday, but I am hoping that it does not leave behind any moisture and that we are actually going to be able to have a nice and clear Saturday. Regardless of what Saturday looks like, Sunday is going to be clear, so we can say that for certain. And even after this cold front moves through, it doesn't really usher in much cooler air. The lows and the highs will stay much closer to average for this time of year. So we'll be in the 70s, and the overnight lows will be back in the 40s, which again is much closer to where we should be for this time of year. So not a bad looking 7-day. You just kind of have to deal with that rain chance that we have Thursday heading into Friday, and hopefully that actually results in some good rainfall totals across our area. Like I said, I'm in for Alex this morning, but he will be back tomorrow. So you can join him right here at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning for another extended look at the forecast with a few more details on that rain chance. And we will see you coming up here at midday. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.